With all due respect, that's a bunch of malarkey. This is a bunch of stuff, deal.
What does that mean, a bunch of stuff?
Well, it means it's simply inaccurate.
It's Irish.
It's Irish. It is. We Irish call it malarkey.
Thanks for the translation.
No,
Okay.
We Irish call it malarkey.
You know what this is? Yeah, and I reserve this word for those rare instances when it's truly deserved. This is malarkey.
That's a bunch of malarkey.
Direct from the King Spring Studios in beautiful Smyrna, Georgia. This is a bunch of malarkey. Now, here's your host, the incredible Charlie McMahon.
Thank you to the legendary Scott Shannon, and thanks to all of you for tuning in to yet another episode of A Bunch of Malarkey. Our 90th episode overall, spanning 3 seasons and 2 years. Our 2-year anniversary of the show is coming up in about a month, but 90 episodes. I didn't think I'd get past 9, but here we are. 2 years later, 3 seasons and 90 episodes, and like I always say, couldn't do it without you, the listeners, so thank you all so much. We had another record-setting month, that is, not record-setting month in June, so thank you all so much. Back from a 4th of July weekend off, well, off from this podcast. I did have a 12-day streak on the air at the radio station, so I was very busy, but I am glad to be back here on A Bunch of Malarkey. And as this show gets released on Sunday, July 12th of 2020, it is my 49th birthday. That's right, 49. And it's my brother's 47th birthday. We're 2 years apart, born on the same day. I'll get into my birthday a little bit later on. But if this was 10 years ago, I'd be lying about my age. If I was turning 39, I'd be saying I'm 35, 36. But who gives a shit? When you're almost 50, you really don't give a shit anymore. So my birthday gift to you is our 90th episode. So I don't think we're ever going to get past this pandemic until there's a vaccine. I've given up on people. Yeah, well, I've given up on people before the pandemic. You know that. But every time I turn on the news, I just shake my head and why people can't just do what's right until this thing lets up. Now, students in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, who have been diagnosed with corona, have been attending parties in the city and surrounding areas as part of what is being described as a disturbing contest to see who can catch the virus first. You heard that right. Tuscaloosa City Councilor Sonia McKinstry said that students have been organizing COVID parties as a game to intentionally infect each other with the virus that has killed more than 130,000 people in the United States. She said she recently learned of the behavior, and she informed the city council of the parties occurring in the city. She said that the organizers of the parties are purposely inviting guests who have coronavirus. They're putting money in a pot, and they're trying to get the virus. Whoever gets the virus first gets the pot. It really makes no sense. They're intentionally doing this. Tuscaloosa Fire Chief Randy Smith told the city council on Tuesday that he has confirmed the students' careless behavior. In a briefing to the city council, Smith expressed concern that in recent weeks there have been parties held throughout the city and surrounding Tuscaloosa County where students or kids would come in with a known positive of COVID. We thought that it was kind of a rumor at first, Smith told the council. We did some research. Not only do the doctor's offices confirm it, but the state confirmed they also had the same information. In his presentation to the council, Smith, who wore a face mask, did not say what is being done to curb this behavior or what schools the students were from. Tuscaloosa is the 7th largest city in Alabama and home to the University of Alabama and several other colleges. Just hours after Smith's briefing, the city council unanimously passed an ordinance requiring people to wear face coverings when in public. It was unclear if the COVID-positive students infected anyone at the parties they attended. Now, Richard Rush, he's a city spokesman. He said in a statement that the city is currently working with local agencies and organizations to ensure that they do everything in their power to fight the pandemic. McKinstry said she fears that some people will attend the parties not knowing their intent and be exposed to infected guests. We're trying to break up any parties that we know of, McKinstry told the news outlets, adding, the infected students are obviously disregarding guidelines from the Centers of Disease Control and Prevention to self-quarantine for 2 weeks. It's nonsense, she said, but I think when you're dealing with the mind frame of people who are intentionally doing stuff like that and they're spreading it intentionally, how can you truly fight something that people are constantly trying to promote? It's just, I mean, what the fuck's the matter with these people? Now, I was talking to my wife the other night. I know I wouldn't have a Corona party if there was Corona back when I was college age. I know I wouldn't have had a party, something stupid like this. But I did, however, have a discussion with my wife whether or not I would stay home or if I would go out and not wear a mask. I mean, obviously now I'm strongly in favor of wearing masks and still staying in. But, I try to put myself in the mind frame of when I was 19 years old. Would I be as careful as I am now? I don't know. It's hard to say because your mind is very different when you're 19. It's stupidity to have a party and infect other people or try to get it. That I know I wouldn't have done at 19, but I'm not sure that I would be staying home and not going out to places that are open. I'm not sure. I'm really not sure what my 19-year-old self would be doing. That's 30 years ago already. All right, another Corona chaos story. A Florida man, whenever it starts off with a Florida man, you know it's fucked up. A Florida man not wearing a mask in Costco, seen in a video posted online shouting at an elderly customer, has been fired from his job. That's right. The video posted to Twitter by user Billy Corbin shows the man, who has since been identified as Daniel Maples, wearing flip-flops and a red t-shirt that reads, "Running the World since 1776. The incident occurred at a Fort Myers Costco, and the shouting subject of the incident turns after reportedly being asked why he was not wearing a face covering, which is required at Costco locations. Corbin posted, "This occurred at the Gulf Coast Town Center location, and one of the customers targeted said, to give Costco the credit, they escorted him out and made me wait inside and monitored him until he left, and then they sent someone with me to the car to make sure I'm okay." Since the video went viral with more than 10 million views as of Wednesday, the man in the shirt was identified by several media outlets as an insurance salesman for Ted Todd Insurance, which posted to their own Twitter account that he had been fired. Thank you to everyone for their comments and messages, raising awareness about a former employee at Ted Todd Insurance. His behavior in the video is in direct conflict with our company values, and their employment has been terminated. They also posted a statement from their CEO, Charlie Todd, where he said, "Threatening behavior and intimidation go against our core mission to be trusted advisors in our community. We are also committed to immediately reviewing our internal existing culture at TTI, asking that more feedback be sent to its Human Resources Department email." So you've got to assume, no matter what you do in public now, you're being recorded by someone, whether it be the store's cameras. We know that all the stores had cameras, and everyone's walking around with a video camera now in their pocket. You have to assume that everything you say and do outside of your home is being recorded. You have to assume that. And you have to recognize that you could be fired from your job for whatever you say. So behave when you're out there. Do what you're supposed to do. He attacked an old lady because she challenged him as to why he wasn't wearing a mask. So maybe you say, all right, I'm going to avoid all this shit. I'm not going to go out to the store. I'm not going to deal with people without masks. I'm not going to go to Corona parties. I'm just going to stay home and order a pizza, because that's what I'm going to be doing on my birthday. I'm going to get a nice pizza because it's my favorite food, and I'm going to stay home. Well, you have to beware because it's a shit show out there, even when you order a pizza. An Ohio couple, well, they were shocked when they opened their hot and ready pizza and saw the pepperoni topping fashioned into a swastika. Misty Laka posted a photo of the pizza on Twitter showing the backward swastika on top of her pizza. The Laskas didn't eat the pizza and instead tried calling the Little Caesars location that made it. Initially, they were unable to get a hold of anyone because the store had just closed. On Sunday, the store owner called the Laskas back to say that it was an internal joke and that the pizza was not intended for customers. He also said the employees were fired. Told him that it was supposed to be an internal joke, that they were playing on each other and the other employee, and the pizza was never intended to go out. He also confirmed that he had let the employees go that morning. Jason Laska told news outlets, "We're trying to solve hate, and even if this was a joke internally for the employees, just stop. Stop with the symbolism and let it go away," Jason Laska said. The employees involved were fired. Little Caesars Enterprises released in a statement responding to the incident. So you can't even have a pizza. They went on to say that they have zero tolerance for racism and discrimination in any form, and the franchise store employees were immediately terminated, and that they were deeply disappointed that this happened, as this conduct is completely against our values. So you can't even get a fucking pizza without, I mean, what's going on in the world? So, okay, maybe you can't get a pizza. You can't go to a party. You can't go to the store because people aren't wearing masks. Maybe you'll go out for a jog. Well, a Florida woman reportedly found a human head on the side of a St. Petersburg road as she was out for a morning jog. The woman called 911 after making her horrifying discovery around 7 a.m. on Tuesday. The head was found in a grassy patch between the sidewalk and the edge of 38th Avenue South, right near an overpass for Interstate 275. Police said the head was so decomposed it was hard to determine race or gender, and that the other residents probably passed it by without even realizing what it was. A lot of people might have thought it was just an animal, but she perceived it that it really did look like a human, a police department spokeswoman said. The spokesperson also went on to say that homicide detectives are now searching the area for more remains or possible clues, and that the head will be turned over to the medical examiner's office for closer examination. It's not clear how long the head was left in the area. The jogger reportedly told police she didn't believe the head was there when she passed by the area during a run on Sunday, just 2 days earlier. She did not jog through the area on Monday. So you can't even go out for a run because you got heads on the side of the road. So maybe you'll go out for a drive. Well, you got to be careful. You got to hear this story. This goes in Oregon. You expect this in Florida, but this happened in Oregon. A police chase in Oregon ended when a driver fleeing authorities in a stolen car crashed into a woman driving another stolen car. The debacle took place on Monday when police responded to a report of a stolen Toyota Land Cruiser driving through downtown Newburgh. A pursuit ensued and lasted for several blocks until the driver crashed into another car near an intersection. Cops identified the driver of the first car as Randy Lee Cooper from Portland. After taking Cooper into custody, the police realized that the second car was also reported stolen in an unrelated crime 3 weeks ago. The driver of that car, Kristen Nicole Begg, was also found to be under the influence. Cooper was charged with an unauthorized use of a motor vehicle, attempting to elude police, assault, and reckless driving. So there's a match made in heaven. Who needs Match.com or eHarmony? Those two are destined to meet each other, the two car thieves. When they get out, they should really get together. So if that story doesn't springboard us into our favorite segment, I don't know what the hell will.
A bunch of malarkey. Mutant of the Week. Now here's Charlie.
So where did we leave off 2 weeks ago? Excuse me. We had the maskless mutant out of Florida. That's the guy who barreled over the greeter at a Florida Walmart because he wasn't wearing a mask and he wasn't allowed in the store, so he barreled over the store greeter. He was up against the meth head maestro right out of Cobb County, Georgia, right here near the King Spring studio, the orchestra teacher from high school who was high on drugs and crashed into another car on purpose and said he was driving the space shuttle. Well, the maskless Mutant out of Florida won by a landslide, 76 to 24%. Thank you all for voting. For the new listeners, where do you vote for the Mutant of the Week? You go to our Facebook page, A Bunch of Malarkey. Poll goes up on Monday, ends on Friday. Make your voices heard. Share the poll. Here are this week's nominees. Mutant nominee number 1. A woman was kicked by a horse on Assateague Beach after hitting the horse in the ass with a shovel. A video shared to Facebook shows. Since it was posted to the People of Ocean City Boardwalk Facebook page, the video has gone viral, totaling 750,000 views and almost 7,000 shares. The video shows a woman approaching the horse and hitting it with a shovel on the back. She then loses her balance trying to retreat before the horse bucks and kicks her on the ground. She didn't appear to be injured and gets back up to approach the horse again. A man off camera can be heard yelling, "Tell her to stay away from them." Another woman yells, "Yeah, they're going to kick you." Law enforcement were notified about the video. The report says that the woman's actions violate the Wildlife Protection Code, prohibiting the feeding, touching, teasing, frightening, or intentional disturbing of wildlife nesting, breeding, or other activities, including those of the horses. People are required to maintain distance of 40 feet from all horses on the beach, according to the report. Most of the horses tend to be skittish, but if horses do approach, officials want to calmly move away to a safe distance. Assateague Island is off the shores of Maryland and Virginia, near Ocean City, Maryland. Horses roam free along the beaches all year round. So let's call her the Assateague Ass-a-hole. The Assateague Ass-a-hole, the woman who... Now, it's not asshole. It's the Assateague Ass-a-hole, like Assateague. She is our first mutant nominee out of... I guess that's Maryland. The Assateague Ass-a-hole, the woman who hit the horse with a shovel. Mutant number 2, we got another Georgia, 2 weeks in a row. Georgia authorities said Tuesday they have tracked down a man, filmed on video, slapping a friendly zebra at an animal safari. The Troup County Sheriff's Office said that the disturbing incident occurred during a tour of the Pine Mountain Wild Animal Safari, about 88 miles west of Macon, Georgia. So apparently a recent visitor to the Pine Mountain Wild Animal Safari thought it would be funny during the tour to smack a zebra in the face after he rolled the window down and the animal put his head in the car to say hello. The sheriff's office wrote on Facebook. The sheriff's office asked the public for help on Monday tracking down the alleged assailant, who goes by the name YoungMal15 on Snapchat. Then in an update Tuesday, authorities said the zebra abuser has been identified by our investigators. No further information was released about the identity of the alleged perpetrator. So let's call him the the safari slapper. So we have kind of two animal molesters or abusers this week. We got the Assateague Ass-a-hole, the woman who hit a horse with a shovel. And then we got the safari slapper, the guy who smacked a zebra in the face at a safari. So cast your votes. A Bunch of Malarkey on Facebook. Our poll goes up on Monday, ends on Friday. 5 full days to vote. Make your voices heard. Share the poll. You got 2 real winners this week. So at the top of the show, I mentioned that when the show is released on Sunday, July 12th, I will be celebrating my 49th birthday. Now, it's getting a little weird. When I turned 20, not a big deal. 30 was tough. Going from 20s to 30s was tough. 40, I didn't give a shit. With 50 looming a year away, I know it's just a number, but it's just something weird about being 50, because it's not like our parents and grandparents. They acted like they were 50. We don't act like we're 50 now. We still do things that we were doing when we were 20. Like half the things I do in the course of a day, I can't picture my dad doing at 50 years old. You know, he just worked, smoked his cigars, watched his TV programs, read the newspaper, and went to bed. That was his life. Watched baseball. He didn't do other things. And I always say to myself, like, I can't picture, even when I see dads out there doing things, I say to myself, I can't picture my dad doing that. Like, times have changed. So 50 isn't really 50 anymore. But I'm thinking a year from now, that's going to be a tough one. So I started thinking today about things everyone should know by the time they're 50, or things that we are told that we should know, life lessons everyone should know by the age of 50. So I did some research online, and I didn't even really go over these. So it's going to kind of be impromptu, and I'm going to see whether I agree or disagree with these different life lessons that everyone should know by 50. So let's start. Life lesson number 1 here. Life isn't fair, but it's still good. I agree with that. Life is definitely not fair. You have your ups and downs, but it's better than the alternative, not having a life. So for the most part, you get past all these valleys in life, and it's still pretty good. Another life lesson that we should know by the age of 50. When in doubt, just take the next small step. I agree with that. I think we doubt ourselves a lot. I still see relatives and people I know, friends that are older than me that still doubt themselves. If you're not going to get over self-doubt and take a step or a chance now, when is it going to happen? I look at it this way. Normal life expectancy for a man is, 78? That means at 39, I was halfway through. If I lived the normal expectancy. So I'm playing the back nine right now. Let's be honest. I'm closer to the end than I am to the beginning. So I'm at a point now where I'm going to take chances and do things. I mean, writing a book, starting a radio station, doing this podcast. I'm doing things that maybe 20 years ago I would have doubted myself doing. So I agree you have to take the step. The next one, life is too short to waste time hating anyone. I don't believe in that. I think if someone's an asshole, you can hate them. I mean, you shouldn't spend your whole life consumed with that hate and think about how much you hate them all the time. But if, you really don't get along with someone, you shouldn't try to make amends or bring them back into your life or anything like that. I wouldn't waste time hating someone, but I don't think you should try to patch things up. If they're an asshole, they're an asshole. You know, who wants that negativity? Don't take yourself too seriously. No one else does. Yeah, I have a hard time with it. I take myself, I'm a fun-natured kind of guy, but I take certain things I do very seriously. I'm very regimented about things, so that's something I probably need to change before 50. Next one, pay off your credit cards every month. Doesn't pertain. I don't have any credit card balances. You don't have to win every argument. Agree to disagree. That's something that takes a long time to learn. I don't think I'm there yet. I still feel like I have to win just about every argument or get the last word in. But I have gotten better at picking my battles with people. Sometimes if it's petty, I'll just let it go. If it's something I'm real passionate about, I feel like I have to win. The next one, cry with someone. It's more healing than crying alone. Nah, I don't agree with that. Who am I going to cry with? Who are you going to call? It's a fucking pandemic. Come over and cry with me. Spread the corona. Nah, I don't agree with that. Who wants to sit and cry with someone? It's okay to get angry with God. He can take it. That depends on what you believe. I guess that's true. I mean, I believe in a God, but I don't really get angry with him. He doesn't control what we do and the choices we make. It's self-will. Save for retirement starting with your first paycheck. I have mixed feelings on that one. I definitely agree that I should have started saving for retirement at a much younger age, but not with your first paycheck. Even though in my 20s I spent recklessly and got myself into debt, but without doing that I wouldn't have had all the great memories that I have today. So maybe it was worth it in a way, because you got to make memories. You got to have fun while you're still healthy and able and young and vibrant, and you can rebound from a few nights of drinking. I don't know. I think you should definitely start saving for retirement by the age of 30. Late 20s, very early 30s. But when you're 22, 23, have a good time. That's my advice. When it comes to chocolate, resistance is futile. That's a silly one. When it comes to any sweets, there's no resistance when it comes to me. Make peace with your past so it won't screw up the present. I agree with that. The past is the past. I think, what my brother and I do, I mean, our childhood wasn't bad. Our grandparents made it good. Our parents worked hard. But there was a lot of fucked up things, dysfunctional shit. You have to make peace with it, and we laugh about it. We turn it into something funny. We don't sit and dwell on it and say, oh, woe is me. I have I know people who do that, but my brother and I will talk about things and laugh about it. As fucked up as it is, we try to make light of it, and that's what I think everybody should do. It's okay to let your children see you cry. I don't have any children, but yeah, I would think that would be okay. I only saw my dad cry a couple of times. When my mom's father died, he cried. I didn't see him cry when his own dad died. They weren't very close, but he was very close with my mom's father. So I didn't see my dad get upset too much. My mother, forget about it. Emotions, mad, angry, crying, whatever. Yeah, I don't have a problem with that if I had children. This one we had a whole show over a few weeks ago. Don't compare yourself or your life to other people's lives. You have no idea what their journey is all about. Again, keeping up with the Joneses, comparing yourself. Who the fuck has time for it? Your life is your life. Make the best you can. Don't worry about what anybody else is doing. I agree with that. If a relationship has to be a secret, you shouldn't be in it. I totally agree with that one. I look back on relationships, not that I had, but friends who were dating and kept it a secret for a long time. Then they ended up getting married. But I never understood, like, were they ashamed of each other or was one ashamed of the other? I don't understand that. If you're with somebody, you should be proud of it. You should be able to tell everybody. I totally agree with that one, that if you're in a relationship that has to be a secret, you shouldn't be in it. Another life lesson we should all know by the age of 50. Everything can change in the blink of an eye. So true. You don't know what tomorrow is going to bring. Try to have fun and laugh and enjoy yourself today because you don't know what tomorrow is going to bring. Things can change in the blink of an eye. Life is too short for long pity parties. Get busy living or get busy dying. I agree with that. And I spent I wouldn't say a lot of my life, but I spent a while dwelling on things in my 20s and 30s maybe. But you got to move on. You got to just live. You can get through anything if you stay put in today. You can get through anything if you stay put in today. I have no idea what the hell they're trying to tell me there. If you stay put in today. All right, I guess that means don't look too far ahead. Don't look back. Stay in the now. Okay, that's not worded very well. But like I said, I just pulled these. I didn't read them before I came on the air, so I wanted to be like a spur-of-the-moment thing and my reaction be genuine. The next one, a writer writes. If you want to be a writer, then write. So true. I talked about writing a book for my whole life. I finally sat down and did it 2 years ago. It wasn't about the topic I initially thought I'd be writing my first book about, but it was a great experience. It was fun. As a matter of fact, the book is still available on Amazon. A Whole Lot of Shenanigans. Pick it up. I definitely want to do it again. I could tell you this, the amount of work you put into the book, you're not going to be on the New York Times bestseller list. You're going to have to promote it yourself, market it yourself. That's the tough part. The writing part is the fun, easy part. It's getting people interested afterwards. And you know what? I look back, I wrote the book for me. It did decent. I sold hundreds of copies. But it was more the experience and the joy that I had doing it than it was for the money. So if you really want to write a book, write a book. And it's so easy to do today because you can self-publish. You don't have to market it or sell yourself to a publishing company. Market it right through Amazon. Yeah, those motherfuckers take a big chunk of the royalties, but it's worth it. If you want to write, definitely write. It's never too late to have a happy childhood, but the second one is up to you and no one else. So whatever you missed out on in your childhood, why can't you do it now as an adult? Have fun. I agree with that. When it comes to going after what you love in life, don't take no for an answer. I agree with that as well. When it comes to going after what you love in life, well, I guess there are restrictions though. If you love to, I guess if you're supporting a family and you love doing something that would require you to quit your job and not be able to support your family, there's certain restrictions and boundaries that come with that financially. But for the most part, I agree with that. Burn the candles, use the nice sheets, wear the fancy lingerie. Don't save it for a special occasion. Today is special. I agree with that. What we said a few minutes ago is that anything could change in a minute. What are you saving it for? Enjoy yourself. Over-prepare and then go with the flow. I agree with that too. No matter what I do, no matter what job I ever had with this podcast, with the radio station, I always come prepared and then I go with the flow. But I always have to over-prepare for everything. So I totally agree with that. Be a little eccentric and crazy now. Don't wait for old age to wear purple and crazy stuff. Be yourself. I agree with that as well. The most important sex organ is your brain. Yeah, maybe at this when you're 20, totally different story. No one is in charge of your happiness except for you. Yeah, that's true, because if you have people bringing you down, you have negativity in your life, you get rid of it. Easier said than done, but it can be done. Frame every so-called disaster with these 3 words. In 5 years, will this matter? That's an important one. Not even 5 years. That's what I always say about road rage. Somebody cuts you off, and you blow the horn, and then the guy starts tinkering with you, and it goes into a back and forth. Before you know it, people are fighting. It escalates. When someone cuts you off, just say to yourself, not even in 5 years, by the end of tonight, is it going to matter? Is it worth getting into a fight over? And it's true with so many things. Is it really going to matter in the whole grand scheme of everything? Does this really matter? You can use later today, a week from now, a year from now, 5 years from now, whatever your time frame. The next one I don't agree with. Forgive everyone for everything. No. Not that I hold grudges like my mom does, but I can forgive people who deserve forgiving. But there are some people who just don't warrant forgiveness. So I don't agree with that. What other people think of you is none of your business. Yeah, I guess that's true. I guess certain things are better left unknown. Unless they're your friends, or they claim that they're my friend and then they're talking shit. That's different. It's just the average Joe Schmo. I don't give a shit. It is none of my business what they think about me, and I don't care. But I guess it is kind of true what your friends and your family really think about you. I think you should know. I think it is your business. Time heals most everything. Gives time some time. Totally agree with that. Think of every breakup you ever had in your life, or the loss of a friend or family member. While you never forget them and you think about them all the time, it does heal the pain. Time does heal a lot of the pain. So I agree with that. However, a good or bad situation it will change. That's true. You're flying high, next day things can change in a minute, or you're in a really bad valley in your life. Things can change, and they will change. Your job won't take care of you when you're sick. Your friends will. Stay in touch with your friends. Really important. That's what I always said when I did a job. Any job I ever worked at, I put in the biggest effort I could have possibly. No matter how menial the job was, I treated it conscientiously. But then I always thought about it. Like 3 years from now, when I'm long gone from this job, is it really going to matter? But in the moment, I think you should be very conscientious about the job and work hard at it. So, I don't know. But you have to prioritize. Yes, your friends, your family, your health are more important than any job. You can always get another job. Whatever doesn't kill you really makes you stronger. I don't know about that. Growing old beats the alternative. Dying young. Totally agree with that. Your children only get one childhood. Make it memorable. I don't have children, but I make my dog's life memorable. Every dog that comes through here, foster dogs, adopted dogs, they're all made to feel like kings and queens. Get outside every day. Miracles are waiting everywhere. Well, that's easier said than done right now. I need to do that more. I get outside to mow the lawn. I don't look around about the beauty around me, the sky. I just kind of go through the motions. I miss living by the beach. I would go out for runs every single day and just take in the waves and the salty air and the sky. And I haven't done that in a really, really, really long time. I don't think I've done that since I moved to Georgia, because I don't go out in the summer. It's too hot. You have mosquitoes the size of airplanes. I don't take it in anymore. I don't take the beauty of outdoors in anymore like I used to, and I miss that. If we all threw our problems in a pile and saw everyone else's, we'd grab ours back. I agree with that. In the grand scheme of things, I don't really have that many problems. Don't audit life. Show up and make the most of it now. Yeah, I agree with the make most of it now part, but if you don't take stock and do an audit or self-examine, I don't think you can make the most of it. So that's a kind of 50-50 there. Get rid of anything that isn't useful, beautiful, or joyful. Now, I don't agree with that. My baseball card collection isn't useful. I'm not getting rid of it. Certain things you hold on for sentimental value. Beautiful, joyful. Yeah, I guess get rid of negative people if you want to put it in a person's perspective. Now, I like reading these impromptu because I had no idea what was on this list. All that truly matters in the end is that you loved. Yeah, I guess so. That's a life lesson, I guess. Envy is a waste of time. You already have all you need. We've spoken about that in length in other episodes. I agree. Enjoy what you have. If you don't have what you want, then strive to get it. The best is yet to come. This is one I have a hard time with. And my wife calls me out on it because I don't live in the past, but I reminisce a lot. I tell old stories a lot. That's why I started this podcast, because I like telling stories, and I don't know about that. I'll be 50 next year. I'm not saying I don't have good years left if, God willing, that, I'm healthy and I live, another 20, 30 years. But I don't know about the best is yet to come. Am I ever going to relive the days of my teens and childhood and 20s? And all? I don't know. I guess it could be the best in a different way. But a lot of those experiences, I don't know if I'll ever get to feel some of those feelings again. That one I'm mixed on. That one I struggle with a lot about. I look back and I'm like, the best years behind me. What have I got to look forward to? Everybody says, retirement. What am I going to do when I'm 70? Am I going to have the strength and the motivation and to want to do the things I wish I could have enjoyed when I was 20? That is a tough one. The best is yet to come. I struggle with that one. No matter how you feel, get up, dress up, and show up. Nah, I don't agree with that. I did a whole episode on Bunch of Malarkey about learning to say no. If you don't want to go, then don't go. You don't have to get up, dress up, and show up. I disagree with that. Take a deep breath. It calms the mind. I wish that all it took. If you don't ask, you don't get. I agree with that. You got to let people know what's on your mind. Life isn't tied with a bow, but it's still a gift. Yes, it is. Every day that we get up, it is a gift. It's never too late. That's a big one for me. And that one I've discovered in the last 3 or 4 years. It's not too late. If you really, really have a dream to do something, it's not too late. Again, the book, this podcast, most of all, me on the radio. That's something I dreamt of as a teenager. Never thought it would happen. And here I am with my own radio station at 49 years old. So it's never too late. Don't waste another moment trying to satisfy mentally unhealthy people. That's a big one. Now, it's hard. There are members of my family I don't talk to anymore, haven't spoken to in a decade, but they are not mentally healthy. And it's like beating your head against a concrete wall. They're never going to change. You can't reason with someone like that. It's always about them. It's always about their way or the highway. It's always about them. And it's not just that. There's just everything's an argument. Everything's a negative. So sometimes you just have to walk away. It's hard. 50 isn't as old as I thought it was when I was 13. Isn't that the truth? Remember when you were 20? You would see a 40 or 50-year-old guy at the bar. Look at that loser, 50 years old, the old bastard. Now you're closing in on 50, and you're like, 50 really isn't that old. 70 maybe? 75 might be old. Totally, totally different perspective about age when you start getting older. I can say no and feel good about it. Totally true. Did a whole episode on saying no. Do what you want to do. Now, about 10 years ago, I guess it was 9 years ago, around my 40th birthday, I saw a coaster in a store. You know, those drink coasters that said if you haven't grown up by age 40, you don't have to. Recently, I saw the same coaster online that pertained to age 50. So, I think it's imperfect advice at either juncture. We all want to retain a little bit of our childhood wonder, but there's a lot of grown-up things that you learn in your 40s, heading into 50. Now, at 40, I was a lot healthier as far as diet and exercise go. I was a lot more active. But that date on the calendar seemed like symbolic of my vanishing youth when I turned 40. A decade later, or 9 years later, I know that while aging is inevitable, I'm really only as old as I act and feel. Now, the act part, I'm always going to act younger than I am. I've always been like that. Not immature, but I've always been a fun-loving kind of person. But I do have to get back into eating better and exercising, and I've talked about it for the last year or two. I go from like one of the fittest people running 12, 13, 15 miles in a day on just an average day. I'm going out for a 12-mile run to, man, I'm winded walking up the driveway to the mailbox. A big stretch in 3 or 4 years, but it's never too late to turn that back. So, yeah, you are only as old as you act and feel. Something I think about, though, as I'm getting closer to 50, a year away. Now, the odds of dying begin to increase. I don't mean to be negative, but they begin to increase in a disturbing proportion after you turn 40. Death rates among U.S. men in 2018 jumped to 609 deaths per 100,000 men from ages 50 to 54, and 254 out of 100,000 from ages 40 to 44, according from the CDC, information from the CDC. Likewise, death rates among U.S. women increased to 382 deaths per 100,000 women from ages 50 to 54, and 159 per 100,000 at age 40 to 44. Now, death it's always shocking, but it's definitely an eye-opener when people you went to elementary, junior high, or high school start dying from different things. And, you know, I unfortunately went through losing 3 classmates during my senior year in car accidents and things of that nature. So my class, we got an early lesson in that. But, you know, over the years, we've lost a few classmates from different things in their 40s or late 30s even. And it's weird when you start seeing people your age start to die. So it's definitely an eye-opener. Now, there's a popular saying that summarizes, when you're 20, you try to sneak into parties. By your 40s, you're trying to sneak out. I did an episode on that too, Irish exits, where you go to the party because you want to get the credit for going to the party, then you sneak the hell out. When you drink later in life, you'll likely get drunk on fewer drinks, and the hangovers are worse. You have to blame biology. After age 40, your liver becomes less efficient at processing the alcohol, and it makes your tolerance lower, and your body retains less water, making you prone to hangover-inducing dehydration. That's why I don't drink at all anymore. I mean, I had my day in drinking in my 20s. No, was it even in my 20s? I drank more in my 30s than I did in my 20s, I have to say. Yeah, my early to mid-30s were the height of my drinking. I didn't drink a lot in my 20s. I moved out on my own at a young age and was too busy working and doing things. I didn't really drink in my 20s. My 30s were my drinking years, from like 30 to 35. I don't drink anymore at all. Even having one drink now, I just feel like exhausted after having a drink. I don't drink anymore. So that doesn't pertain to me, but all you drinkers out there who are around my age, less drinks now. Now, one of the most important things I realized in this decade is that there are a very limited number of people in my life who truly care about me. And these people are irreplaceable. You really know you have a core, and this is what you learn compared to your 20s into your 40s. In the 20s, you want to have a ton of friends, and if this person cancels on you, you always have a backup. You have a million balls in the air. When you're in your 40s, you have a core of a very small group of friends who you really care about, who care about you, and, you know, family members and those type of people. A very small circle of people. And those people are irreplaceable to you. And for those listening, you know who you are. But it's a big realization in your 40s compared to your 20s. In your 20s, you want to be liked by everybody. You want to have so many friends or so-called friends. And you still see it on Facebook, people with 3,000 friends. Come on. Nobody has 3,000 friends. I mean, if I would have kept everybody on my Facebook that I had over the years, I'd probably have 2,500. I think I have 320 because a lot of people that I never spoke to or we never conversed, I said, what's the point? All they're doing is like stalking my life and vice versa. What's the point? Nobody has 3,000 friends. And no, I don't want 3,000 friends. I like to have a core of people that care about me and I care about them. And that's something you learn as you get older. Now, negative people, they aren't just expendable. They need to be totally excised from your life, both personally and professionally. If part of growing older is learning to deal with having less energy, you certainly don't need to be around the negative, life-draining people. And like I said, there's family members of mine who they're joy and vampires. They just suck the joy out of everything. And I have other family members who are great-natured and great people that have to deal with these people, and I don't know how they do it. Maybe I'm selfish for walking away from these people, but I couldn't do it anymore. Everything. You call up, how you doing? Into a 10-minute airing of grievances about their life, about how they feel. You tell them it's raining here. Oh, it's a monsoon there. Always one-upping you. Always, I couldn't do it anymore. And I'm going to close with this. And this is what I spoke. Too many people in their 40s think the best years of their life are in the past. But it's they claim it's not. It's what you make it. Again, I struggle with that. Are you going to have the energy and the lust for life when you're 70 that you did when you were 20? I don't know. Really depends, I guess, what you're doing. And this is one I struggle with every single day. You know, I still have good times, and I'm not saying I don't. But if I put it on the scale right now, I'm accomplishing more personally in my life now than ever before. I'm doing things that I never thought I'd do on that level. But from a fun, just a pure joy and fun standpoint, I'm not. And I'm talking about outside of projects and career or whatever I'm doing right now. I'm talking about just the day-to-day laughter and joy. And when I put it on the scale with my 20s or my 30s, it's different. I guess it's different. So I don't know I hope that the best is still ahead, but it's hard to say, or at least as good. Maybe not better, but as good. I hope that that's the case. And I hope that's the case for all of you. So 49, where the hell did the years go? I was just thinking that the other day. It was I was talking about John Lennon the other day. John Lennon, this December, is going to be dead 40 years. He died at 40. Now he's dead 40 years. He's been gone as long as he was alive. And I was telling my wife at dinner the other night, I remember going to the 20th anniversary of his passing at Strawberry Fields in New York City. I would go there a lot. Almost every December I would visit there with friends, or I'd take the train to Manhattan and go visit. And I remember being there for the 20th anniversary. And it was, what a night. It was packed there, and everybody, if you've never been to Strawberry Fields, when you go to New York City, you have to go. Central Park. It's a great experience. But on certain days, on John Lennon's birthday, on the anniversary of his death, on certain days, there's vigils there, and everybody gets together. People come with guitars. Everybody sings Beatles songs. And I remember being there. Must have been several thousand people there on this 20th anniversary of his death. And I was just telling my wife, that was 20 years ago already. So 20 years goes by. You know, you think sometimes the week is dragging, the day is dragging, but 20 years goes by so quickly. And that's something I think, if I could sit down with a teenager or somebody in their 20s and explain to them, yeah, 50 seems old and far away now, but man, does it come quick. And I think looking back, the most defining years of your life, to me, aren't the college years. It's those mid-20s to early 30s. That's when you really start to shape the direction of your life. 25, 26, till about 31, 32. Those, because you're done with school, you're starting to get into a career, you're starting to get momentum. And it's usually before you meet someone and get married and have kids. You know, because people are having kids and getting married much older. So if I had to sit down with someone in their teens or very early 20s, I would tell them, man, 25 to 32, those are the most defining years of your life. Those really set the pace and the course. Can it change? Can you always, like we said, it's never too late to do anything, but in general, those are the most defining years of your life. And if I could just go back and fix those up a little bit, I think I would. But you end up where you're supposed to be based on your choices. And if you make the wrong choices early, you have plenty of time. You know, if all goes well, God willing, you have plenty of time to put it back together, so to speak. So that's my view on turning 49. Next year is going to be tough. Again, I remember turning 20, no problem. 21, no problem. 30 was tough. I remember turning 30. It was fun. I went away that weekend. I was dating someone. I think we went to Maine. Fun time. But it was just something about that 2 changing to a 3 that stayed with me for a while. Then you forget about it. By 35, you don't give a shit. 40 didn't bother me. I was very busy when I turned 40. That's the summer we moved here to Georgia. We were packed and in the process of moving here. So didn't have time to think about it. Maybe if all that wasn't going on, I would have dwelled on it more. I remember turning 40. It was a couple of days before we moved here to Georgia. I don't remember it being that tough. But as I turned 49 and thinking that 5 in front of the number is just a year away. It was even tough when my sister turned 50 a couple of years ago. Thinking of my sister as 50 years old. It's tough. It's weird. I remember when my mom turned 50. Now I'm going to turn 50 in a year. It's very strange. I don't feel 50, except when I get up in the morning and it takes me an hour to get moving. Mentally, I don't feel 50. Physically, I don't feel 50, but I don't feel 25. I'm somewhere in the middle. Maybe I feel 40. I don't know. So where are we found? Well, you know where we're found. We're found on all major podcast platforms. I'm not going to run them down again. Maybe next week. I don't know. Get in touch with me, a bunch of malarkey podshow at gmail.com. You can always reach out there, or you can get in touch with me on our Facebook page if you want to send me a private message. If you want to become a sponsor of the show, patreon.com/a-bunch-of-malarkey. Head over there, $1, $2, $3 a month, whatever you can afford to keep the show, the expenses. And thanks to those who are patrons of the show. You're not forgotten about, you're thought about and appreciated every single episode. My book, A Whole Lot of Shenanigans, it is available on Amazon, so check that out. And if you want to hear me, I'm putting so much work into this radio station, and it's really, really coming along great. We are increasing our listeners every week. It's such a core of great everyday listeners, and more people joining and listening. Our rotation, our song rotation, we just added like 500-600 more songs to the rotation. I'm getting messages every day, people telling me how they're hearing songs on the radio station that they haven't heard in 40 years, that it's a trip down memory lane. If you really love 80s music, and not just the big 80s hits, if you really like those like obscure 80s songs or songs you haven't heard, check me out on Charlie's 80s Attic radio station on TuneIn and on iHeartRadio, charlies80sattic.com. Really, it's a passion of mine. And I love doing this podcast, don't get me wrong, but this radio station, I mean, the amount of hours I'm putting into this station, you have no idea. I wouldn't even admit how many hours. My wife will tell you. But she gets it. This is something I wanted to do all my life. So check me out on Charlie's 80s Attic. I think you will enjoy it. So, folks, whether you're in your 20s, your 30s, your 40s, your 50s, or your retirement age, you still have to beware, because it's a shit show out there. Thanks so much for tuning in. I really, really appreciate it. Have a great week. Stay safe. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. And we'll catch you next week. Take care, everybody.